friends, welcome back to our gaslighting series. This is part 3 of 3. If you missed parts 1 and 2, please go check those out on our YouTube channel. So we already talked about why gaslighting, well, absolutely sucks and how hard it can be on your mental health. So in this part, let's talk about some things that you can do to try to gain the upper hand over the gaslighter and get your clarity back. So without further ado, here are 7 ways you can outsmart a gaslighter. Number 1, first, make sure it's really gaslighting. As we discussed before, when someone simply has a different opinion than yours, even if they are expressing it in a rude or critical way, that isn't necessarily gaslighting. They're just disagreeing with you. And it's important to keep in mind that people sometimes feel very convinced of their own knowledge and insist they are right, even when evidence suggests otherwise. So with that said, someone insisting you're wrong, I know what I'm talking about, isn't polite, but it isn't gaslighting either if they aren't trying to manipulate you by making those statements. People can also gaslight unintentionally. I don't have time to listen to this, or don't you think you're overreacting, are also not ideal or helpful responses to conflict, but those are also not manipulation. So when considering whether someone is trying to gaslight you, make sure to take stock of your feelings, not just their actions, and think about the whole picture. Number 2, take some space from the situation when and however possible. You're going to experience a lot of strong emotions when you're dealing with gaslighting. They pretty much run the gamut of anger, frustration, worry, sadness, fear, overwhelm, resentment, and a interesting feeling that I can only describe as reluctant acceptance. I don't know how else I can really say that, but I have a feeling that if you've ever felt it, you know exactly what I mean. Anyway, as I have said many times before regarding emotions, when those are on, the brain is off. And the strong emotions that we just mentioned, those are all very valid to have when you are being gaslit. But sometimes you have to try to let them not guide your immediate reactions. Remaining calm will serve you much better in handling the situation effectively and making more sound decisions. Now, when you're trying to dissect the gaslighter's BS, especially when you are doing it in the middle of a heated exchange or an argument, your first impulse might be to want to deny what the person that is trying to gaslight you is saying. After all, it's usually completely untrue anyway. But they might not back down, and your distress can encourage them to keep trying to manipulate you even more. So that's why it's better to remain calm. And keeping your cool will also help you focus on the truth, making it less likely that their false narrative or version of the events will sway your confidence and faith in yourself. It's best to get physical space in these situations, and you can do that by suggesting a break or revisit the topic later, while you go for a walk or step outside, or whatever helps you clear your mind and focus on maintaining your confidence. If you can't physically leave, you can try some breathing exercises or grounding yourself using a designated object. If you saw that old movie Inception, something like that spinning top as a totem, I know that's a movie, but that type of grounding actually really works. Or you could keep it simple and count to 10. Try out whatever works best for you and you go with it. Collect evidence. Lots of it. You know, I love that the word receipts is so often used in today's vernacular. Thanks, Gen Z. Because seriously, the word was really underused before. Receipts are your friend. They are pretty much proof that something has happened. And with a gaslighter, the more of that you can collect, the better. The gaslighter will probably still try to deny that your receipts are real, but you will know better. And when you have concrete proof of something, it's a lot harder to turn those tables without asking for a whole lot of suspension of disbelief. So not only does keeping receipts help you have tangible things to counter the gaslighter's nonsense with, it also helps you keep track of what's really happening. When they deny a conversation or an event took place, you can go back and check the truth for yourself. I will say that this tactic works specifically for me when having a conversation with someone I know that's a gaslighter. They denied many, many times that they said something even though I distinctly remembered that they had, and I also distinctly remembered that they texted those things to me, so they were still on my phone. It's funny, I wasn't actually trying to keep receipts that time. Because honestly, this person had already burned me in the past. There was no trust there anyway. But when they were trying to start some drama by telling me that they never said things that I knew they had, I pretty much shut down the whole thing by saying, well, see, memory fades, but iMessages is forever. And I sent some screenshots. And that was the end of that line of conversation with them. And I couldn't be more thankful, because everyone involved was way too old then and now to be doing that crap. So what kind of receipts are we talking about? Some examples. Saving or taking screenshots of texts and emails. Making good notes of dates and times of your conversations. Taking photos whenever it applies, such as when they damage your property or something like that. Basically, if you can take a picture of it, do it. They are worth 1,000 words and all, you know. Remember that it is not illegal to take a photo of something or someone if they are in a public vantage point, even if they are in private property at the time. That is the law in all 50 states. I looked it up. Summarize your conversations with direct quotes when possible. Record your conversations however possible within the limits of the law. They vary from place to place. Basically, anything that can be used to prove the truth is a receipt. When you know the truth, and you have proof too, it's going to be a lot harder to question or doubt yourself. This alone can help boost confidence and make it easier to handle the gaslighting going forward. This part of dealing with gaslighting is very tiring. It's a lot of work. So while collecting your evidence, be sure to set boundaries and keep good self-care practices in so that it doesn't stress you out even more. Number 4, speak up about the behavior. Gaslighting works because it confuses you and it shakes your confidence. They expect you to sit and take it, for lack of a better word. When you speak up and you defend yourself, you call them out on it, you are sort of calling their bluff. And if you can somehow let it roll right off your back, that their ridiculous antics don't bother you at all, they may decide it's not worth it and leave you alone. This is best case scenario, of course. And in addition to lies and misdirection, by the way, gaslighting often involves criticism and insults. Calling these out calmly and assertively shows them that you won't accept that kind of behavior. Don't be afraid to speak up, especially not in front of others, because honestly, making others aware of the situation gives them more incentive to leave you alone. It's harder to bamboozle multiple people. They may try to disguise those insults as jokes or backhanded compliments or say things like, "I'm just kidding, I'm just trying to help." Asking them to explain the joke as if you don't understand may help them realize, too, that these strategies aren't going to work on you. I know, that sounds stupid, but I assure you, it actually really does work. Basically, the more you show them that you will not tolerate their attempted manipulation, the more likely they are to move on to somebody easier. It's just how they operate. So don't be afraid to stand up for what you know is the truth. Number 5, remain confident in your version of events. Everyone remembers things a little differently than how they may have happened on occasion. And you might wonder, well, what if it did happen the way that they said? Don't give in to the urge to question yourself. They want you to do that. They want you to doubt reality. Misremembering typically involves small details, such as the color of somebody's shirt or the other people in the room. Your brain typically does not fabricate entire memories. So if you remember something clearly and they flat out deny that memory, that's gaslighting. You know what happened, so repeat it calmly and with confidence, showing them any proof that you might have that would encourage them to back down. But it's definitely worth taking a shot, even if it doesn't work, because you obviously preserve your sanity more the less you have to deal with their web of confusion. They continue challenging you. Try not to get drawn into a conflict. Arguing can lead to further tension and put you in a position where you're more vulnerable to manipulation. By refusing to argue, you protect yourself and maintain control over the situation. You might say something like, "It seems we were remembering things differently, and I don't want to argue about it." You avoid further discussion, change the subject, and you leave the room. Number 6, focus on self-care. In part 2 of this video series, we talked a little bit about how difficult this behavior is to deal with and some things that happen to you when you do. When you're faced with that kind of constant stress, it's more important to take good care of yourself than ever. And yes, taking care of your physical and emotional needs probably won't do anything to directly address the gaslighting. But good self-care will absolutely still make a difference by improving your state of mind. A gaslighter might try to make you feel undeserving of self-care or label your practices as lazy and indulgent. However, it is important to maintain those habits despite what they say. Worries about gaslighting and its potential impact on your job or relationships can creep into all aspects of your life, making it tough to find pleasure in even your favorite things. Dedicating time to relaxation and wellness practices and just to you will only help you feel stronger and more capable. Self-care looks different for everyone, but it might look something like spending time with friends and family, practicing more self-talk in your daily life. I know this sounds simple, but when you're being told only negative things about yourself, you really do need positive reminders. And you need to remember that you are strong and self-assured and accomplished no matter what the gaslighter says. Make some affirmations for yourself and remind yourself of them daily. Make time for hobbies or simple things that bring you joy. For example, when I feel overwhelmed, sometimes I will go get lost in a bookstore for an hour or two. And I come out feeling better, even if I don't buy anything. So find a happy place like that. Try meditation or other similar exercises like breathing exercises. Keep a journal to help you sort through your emotions. I highly recommend this one. I journaled for years and years, and it's probably the most therapeutic thing I've ever done for myself. Just sitting with a blank page and dumping it all out there, it was like opening a window in my head and letting all that extra stuff out. Physical activity is great for this too if you're able to do it. Not only does it do wonders for your health, it will serve as an outlet for tension. Try to get enough sleep. This is hard when you're the victim of gaslighting because it tends to be so all-encompassing. You'll lose sleep, tossing and turning, wondering what the hell's going on. So focusing on getting more sleep to make up for that will only help you feel more clear-headed and focused. 7. Involve others. Now, you may worry that talking to other people about the situation will lead to more drama, but when dealing with gaslighting, it's important to get insight and support from people that you trust. It helps to ground you, and seeking input from different people can help reinforce your knowledge that you aren't confused or crazy or losing your memory. Your support network might feel upset on your behalf. In fact, they probably will. Speaking strictly for myself, I get pretty protective with the people that I love, and when someone hurts them, I tend to hold a grudge, even if that person hasn't done anything to me personally. Kind of funny because I don't hold grudges any other time. But that's just me, and pragmatically speaking, when you aren't the direct victim, you do have some emotional distance from the situation, so it's easier to offer a less emotionally charged perspective and calm guidance and support. When ongoing gaslighting is happening to you at work or in a social situation, avoid meeting with the gaslighter alone when possible. It's best to limit your contact altogether, but if you have to be around them, bring someone else who's neutral and trustworthy, and ask them to listen in on the conversation. Remember, you're not pulling in someone to take sides. You simply want them to observe what's happening. Someone trying to use gaslighting tactics will typically have a harder time manipulating more than one person. So this is often a very effective tactic in combating gaslighting behavior. So there you have it. 7 things you can do to protect yourself from gaslighters and their manipulation. I hope that you are never the victim of gaslighting, but if you are, that you are able to find some of this information, both in this video and in the whole series, useful. And just because, we have a bonus for you to go with this series, a free digital download in PDF format called 10 Common Habits of a Gaslighter. There's some additional information about behaviors that you find very often in gaslighters in there, so you know what to look for. Information is power, friends, and in any situation, but especially when it comes to protecting your mental health against people who are manipulators. You can go grab this freebie from the downloads page on our website, www.prioritymessage.com, and I will also put a link in the video's description and the comments for you too. That's all I've got for you this week. I will be back next week with a new priority message. Until then, take good care of yourselves. Bye.